daily deep dive into everything Utah Jazz.
It's time!
All season long and even in the offseason, it's Jazz Daily with JJ and Alex on your exclusive home of Utah Jazz basketball. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Basketball, gimme the ball because I'm gonna dunk it! Basketball, gimme.
Welcome back, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. JJ and Alex, Jeremiah Jensen, Stevenson Sylvester in for Alex Curie. We're blessed to have Sly with us for the next week, breaking down all things sports here in Utah, and especially the Utah Jazz. We're going to be our next topic of conversation. It's interesting because it's been frustrating with the Jazz. We knew it was going to be frustrating, but then you're living it, and it's really frustrating. A lot of the excitement about getting NHL hockey here helped dull the pain of the ending of the Jazz season. It was an exciting time in April and into May, welcoming an NHL team, but now you're staring at a draft coming up. We're at the end of May. You start breaking down things. You start looking at things. You're watching these two teams in the NBA Finals, the Celtics and Mavs. You're like, how can the Jazz ever get to that point? Well, it's a work in progress, and they're certainly working on it. So what are some of those things that they could do? Let's get to it. It's The Cut at 4 o'clock.
It's time for the biggest story of the day. This is What Made the Cut with JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
The Cut brought to you by Doug Smith Dealerships. For an incredible selection on Kia, Subaru, Chevy, Jeep, Dodge, or Ram, visit Doug Smith Dealerships in American Fork and Spanish Fork. Great service starts with know-how, and nobody knows how like Doug. Hey, Doug.
There it is. You hit it on that one.
I'll do much better reading the G2G bars because that's our show sponsor. Again, we mention them each and every hour. This show is brought to you by G2G bars. I don't have to sing a song with that one. Although I don't think I'm required to sing a song with Doug Smith either. But we do it for our favorite, our good friends at Doug Smith Dealerships. But G2G bars, got an emphasis on the two. G2G bars with all natural ingredients, no preservatives, and plenty of protein. G2G bars are perfect for anyone who needs a tasty and nutritious boost. The Jazz need a boost right now. They could use a G2G bar. More specifically, they need some star power. Where are they going to find it? I don't know. But there is going to be some movement. The Jazz are going to try to do as much as they possibly can. The hard part, Sly, is you can only make a trade if someone else is willing to make that trade with you.
Mm-hmm.
But there could be some moves made out there. Hoops Hype is reporting this one, that John Collins could be on the market this summer. I don't think that surprises anybody. I don't think when the Jazz acquired John Collins last year, it's like, oh, yeah, John Collins is part of the long-term plan for the Jazz. I thought, yeah, it makes sense. I mean, they traded Rudy Gay. They had room under the cap to make the deal happen. John Collins is a good player, was worth the trade. But obviously, I mean, I shouldn't say obviously, but according to reports, they may have interest in shopping him around. But he's been shopped for his entire career. I don't think that's going to be anything new for John Collins. So that's something to keep an eye on out there, is the Jazz could be moving some of those veteran pieces. Jazz have first-round picks this year and in the future. They've got 2 this year. And that early second-round pick, they've got 10, 29, and 32. And, of course, all those future picks that belong to the Timberwolves and the Cavaliers and a couple, like 1 or 2, I think, from the Lakers. And there are others that they have in their stockpile. So there's a lot of opportunities there to grow. I don't think it's going to be free agency. Let's go. I got a list, Sly. Okay. I want to get your reaction. And I don't even want you to react to some of the big names because we know those aren't going to be interesting. But, again, the Jazz have a lot of cap space. And I want to preface this by saying I don't think free agency is the way for the Jazz to do this because I just don't think that there's impact free agents out there. Free agency is not what it was in the NBA 10 years ago. You know, like remember the Gordon Hayward saga, like where you're your everything relies on getting that player to sign with you or not sign with you, and the whole world revolves around that free agent date. That's not the case anymore. Most players are signing contracts, they're signing extensions, and then they're asking for trades, or teams are trading them when they're not winning or whatever. We saw the Jazz do it with Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert never asked for a trade. Donovan Mitchell never publicly stated that he wanted to be traded. Behind the scenes, we don't know what happened. I think we can assume, but that's just not how it goes. So let's go through this list real quick. These are your top free agents in the NBA in 2024, and it starts with the king, LeBron James. Yes, LeBron James has a player option that he's sure to exercise to become a free agent. So there you go. This is crazy. This is going to make all of us feel old. LeBron James turns 40 in December.
Ew.
Right. So
it's just hard to believe.
He's still one of the best players in the league, and he's going to be 40.
How he's moving. Like, yeah, Tom Brady played till he was 45, but like,
this is basketball.
He's not moving the way LeBron is moving after 21 years of basketball.
No.
Of professional basketball. 82-game season professional basketball.
He was all NBA at age 39. That's incredible.
It
really is
young man's game. What?
So who wants to pay LeBron James as a free agent at age 40?
I mean, all you got to do is pick up his son.
Max money. Is that what's going to take?
I mean, LeBron ain't in it for money no more. If he was in it for money, I'd sign his 1 year, $52 million.
Does he want to stay in L.A.? Or does L.A. need to move on?
I mean, he's already a billionaire.
True.
So he can literally get the narrative that he wants for what, $10 million less? $10 million ain't going to move the needle for him. Even if he signs somewhere for $40 million, which would be a steal for somebody, like, all they got to do is pick up his son, and LeBron's coming.
Okay.
So that's strategy right there.
Well, okay, be honest. Can you see him playing for anybody other than the Lakers next season?
Who, Bron?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
This is coming from a Lakers fan.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
This is a LeBron fan, too. I'm a LeBron fan.
Okay.
The Lakers mix was just match made in heaven for me.
Right.
But yeah,
it hasn't gone well other than 2020 in the bubble, right?
Define well.
Winning a championship that doesn't have an asterisk next to it.
Why is the asterisk next to it?
Because everybody was on the bubble, and it was.
But everybody was on the same playing field.
They didn't have a parade. It's weird. It's just weird.
You got an asterisk because they didn't have a parade.
It wasn't. It just was weird.
I think that was the most level playing field. No home court advantage. No nothing. That was true basketball for me. Nobody had anything else, though. No, nobody had to be in like, oh, I got all this other stuff going on in my house. Everybody was on lockdown. All you had to do was play ball. That was the most even playing fields for everybody.
No fans, no home court
no
advantage.
No fans, there's no home court. But that's for nobody, not even the Lakers.
I know. All right. I don't think they were as successful as I thought they should have been.
I agree with that.
Okay, there we go. Free agent number 2, Paul George. He's got a player option as well.
Still up him. Why is he still? He's always been ranked like one of the top 10, 15 players, and I don't see it. I love Paul George. I think Paul George is extremely athletic, great, but he's not your Kyrie Irving, your Steph Curry, but he's regarded as that. And I don't see it. I think he's great. I think he's a great free agent pickup, whoever gets him. I don't think he's your maybe in Indiana, when he was at Indiana, he was your number one option.
Yeah, I mean
When's he been your number one option?
Put up a lot of points for the Thunder and for the Clippers, but he's always been next to that other guy. But we're looking at the best teams in the league right now. There's another guy.
Yeah,
like Luka.
Well, I mean, at this stage of his career, he's going to have to be.
Luka couldn't get to this point without Kyrie. Kyrie's always had that other guy.
Right.
I think that's just basketball, right? I mean, how many teams are led by one guy and that's it?
I mean, I agree with that, but he's still regarded as your...
He's the second guy of the guys, right? With the Clippers, it was Kawhi Leonard.
But how people are talking about
when
him...
it was at the Thunder, it was Russell Westbrook.
Is he that number one guy? Everybody's
we'll
like,
find out because
it's
you know
Steph
what?
Curry's Warriors.
Here's the thing: is you know who's going to come get him? The Philadelphia 76ers have cap space, and they're going all in on him.
I think that would be a great matchup.
Who's the number one in Philly?
I mean, you got
It's
Joel Embiid.
But guess who's the emerging number one?
Maxey is right there.
Tyrese Maxey is a superstar. Speaking of free agents, he's number 3 here on this list of free agents, although he is restricted. So the Sixers are a team that could go out and get a guy like Paul George and then match or offer a full extension to Tyrese Maxey and still make it work with their money. He's got a $13 million cap hold right now. So that's interesting. James Harden is going to get me out there. He's an unrestricted free agent. He's going to want to get paid. He's going to be 37.
Now, he's a guy who I think is on tapering in the end of his career, and he's just going to go money grab right now.
Sorry, he's 34. He will be 37.
In a few years.
Yeah. After this contract cycle, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
He's 34, so I aged him by 3 years. But when I said 37, I bet you're listening. You believed me, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because it feels like he's been around forever, and he doesn't exactly, he's 34. Then you start getting, there's not a lot of great names there. Pascal Siakam, does anyone think he's going to be unrestricted? Does he not sign with the Pacers? I don't know. But he is unrestricted.
I think he has to. That's a great matchup. I love Pascal. I think he is extremely rangy. I love his athletic ability. But I think his playing style fits well in Indiana.
I agree with that. And I think that's why they made the move, because he's a perfect fit there. Here's another thing. He's 30. I think a lot of people think he's like 25, but he's 30 years old. He's an older player.
You got to stay in Indiana. You got Tyrese Halliburton coming back. You get Miles Turner coming back. That's a great roster right there that you can grow with the next few years. You spend all this, you sacrifice all this time in Toronto. He's already got a ring in Toronto. So why not just stay where you're at? You went to the Eastern Conference Finals. Build on this 1 year that you've been there.
The Pacers could win.
They could win.
They could win big.
It's a very young, humble team. They don't get a lot of media attention, so you can fly under the radar. I like it. I'd stay there.
More names. Emmanuel Quickley's restricted. I don't think he's with the Raptors now, and he was with the Knicks. I don't think the Jazz are going to mess with restricted free agents in the offseason. Although Tyrese Maxey would be one you'd want to mess with.
He'd be
There's just no way the Sixers aren't matching Tyrese Maxey. I would pull up the Brinks truck for Tyrese Maxey, but it ain't going to happen. They're just going to match, so don't waste your time. DeAnthony Melton. See, we start getting into these names. He's unrestricted free agent with the Sixers. Sixers are probably going to let him go. Here's some other big names. OG Anunoby, who has a player option with the Knicks. DeMar DeRozan's unrestricted with the Chicago Bulls. But yeah, I think it's kind of like, I'm not sure that's the route the Jazz want to go. I don't think he matches their timeline. Malik Monk is unrestricted. Really, really had a resurgence in his career after moving to the Kings. Nick Claxton, the center for the Nets, is unrestricted. Tobias Harris is likely to be unrestricted. Scored 0 points in an elimination game in the playoffs. I don't think I can invest in that, especially when you consider
I don't know.
He's coming off a 5-year, $180 million contract.
Oof.
Is he going to be expecting that kind of money? Probably not. But maybe, and then you're not going to pay that. So then you start getting into guys like Gary Trent Jr., Gary Payton II. D'Angelo Russell has a player option. He could become a free agent. I'm not touching Miles Bridges with anything. I don't care if he's unrestricted. I don't care how good he is. The Jazz cannot do that. Do not do that. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go Google Miles Bridges and felony domestic violence charges.
That will not play well in Utah.
No. Buddy Hield's unrestricted. Again, I'm not sure. We're pretty far down this list. Tyus Jones, Isaiah Hartenstein, nice center, but the Jazz are pretty loaded at center. I don't think they need to go there. Is Markelle Fultz a name? I don't know. Probably not. And I don't think they're going to throw a lot of money at Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. It doesn't make sense at his stage in his career where the Jazz are at. Kelly Oubre Jr., I don't know, maybe he's just too much of a loose cannon. That whole exercise we just took you through, I wanted everybody listening to know what the free agent options were out there. A. B, knowing that there's not a lot of great options that are realistic for the Jazz. And C, that building through free agency is not the way anymore. The way that Danny Ainge is going to be able to pull this off is to go find those trade opportunities that are out there. Which team is ready to tear it down? Which team or what player out there? How about this? What player out there is under the radar? Like a PJ Washington. Like a guy that you can add to your core that's going to help you get better. Those are the kind of things that savvy free agent front offices are going to be able to do if they're going to want to win championships. And they got to go make those things happen. Those opportunities will be out there. I don't think the free agent route is the way to go because, like I said, you can go pull up the Brinks truck for Tyrese Maxey and get him even sign the offer sheet. But guess what? The Sixers are matching. It's just not the way anymore. Go shake the tree. Go see what deals are out there. And I think that Trader Danny and Justin Zanuck are going to be hard at work doing exactly that.
I agree. They've probably been at it. It's totally understanding the role that you want, right? Because I hate when you have to get multiple people that you have that play the same position. So you got to make the team fit, right? That goes to coaching, what we were just talking about before. But who is that fit, right? It's already been stated there's no way Lauri Markkanen is leaving this team. There's absolutely no way, unless you want to trade some LeBron-ish type deals. But
right.
LeBron doesn't want to come to Utah. So
everybody's available.
Everybody's available.
I mean, would you trade Lauri Markkanen for Anthony Edwards? Duh.
Right.
Okay, that's not reality. So let's stop. Just don't even talk about it.
Realistic scenario, right? Lauri Markkanen is not going anywhere. Walker Kessler is a good young big. Can get better at different things, but that's coaching, that's development, that's this and that, right? You got Keontae George. You have a good young guy. Who's that guy that you need? And for me, in this Jazz organization, you need that swing man, that combo 2-3 person.
Yeah, wings.
That wing shooting guard who's a dominant force can get you 20, 21, 22 a game, right? And complement Lauri Markkanen. I think that's what you need, right? You got Keontae George, who's got a season under his belt. He can lead this offense. Still hasn't been truly proven. He's got to be a proven guy. So that's not solidified. But he's young enough that you can wait, develop, and get that going. But I think you just need a star 2-3 guy, i.e., Paul George.
Hey, did we fall on that? Did you just blow up my whole narrative? You can't build in free agency. Hey, the Jazz have a full truck full of cash ready to go. Paul George, sign here.
Why not?
Boom, problem solved. Jazz are a contender.
Paul George could do that. He's been around, right? He's gone to different teams. He's old enough to where he's not worried about, I need to be seen in a big market. Give me some money. He gets some cash here at Utah, and Utah goes on a run this next year. He doesn't have to be the primary ball handler. He can give it up to Lauri, who can be a good swing 3-4, and you got a rebounder, rim protector, and Walker Kessler. You build up that bench with a PJ Washington, as you said, something like that. You got yourself a team. Got a good young coach in Will Hardy. A simple move like that would change everything for Utah. As I say simple with some quotations around it. There's a lot of cash that comes with simple, folks. But I think that's a move. Whether he's here for a year or two, you can build around a winning foundation with a guy like that. And with all your draft picks, with these guys coming in the draft the next few years, you could find your next Donovan Mitchell scorer that will replace Paul George in a couple of years. But you take that risk of Paul George for 2 years. I like that idea. Of course I like it. I'm the one who said it. But you just got to find out what fits for your team. That swing 2-3, who could be a ball-dominant closer for you. Veteran, playoff caliber, superstar. Go get him.
What the Utah Jazz need is a recruiter as good as Kevin Young. New BYU head coach has pulled off a stunner. Probably the biggest recruit that BYU's ever had. I'm not kidding. We'll explain this coming up next. You're listening to JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Your home for the best coverage of the Jazz, Utes, and Cougars is right here on The Zone. This is JJ and Alex, presented by G2G Bars on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Show rolls on. JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jeremiah Jensen, Stevenson Sylvester in for Alex Curie this week as Alex is on vacation. You know who's not on vacation right now is BYU head basketball coach Kevin Young. So we knew when BYU hired him it was a home run. For the BYU Cougars to go out and get a head coach who was well on his way to becoming a head coach at the NBA level and would probably be the head coach of the Phoenix Suns right now if he didn't decide to come to BYU, was a huge get for the Cougars. To get a coach of that caliber. He hasn't even coached a game yet. I'm all in. Like, this guy is already a home run hire. He's that qualified and that well thought of in basketball circles. He can go into a recruit's house right now and he can pull up Chris Paul on FaceTime and say, hey, I'm meeting with this young man. I think he's going to be able to play at the next level. Chris, tell him how it's going to happen. Tell him what I did to help you, or tell him he has that ability. And we're already seeing huge benefits from his addition to BYU. We kept a lot of the guys in the fold that we thought were going to leave. They're in the portal. Now they're back at BYU. So that has been a big, big development for BYU.
Yeah, I mean, there's got to be a lot of respect that has to go to, and it's the whole reason why you target it, right? You know, of his professional outlook, you know, his career, who he's gone to, who he's affiliated with, you know, all of these different things mean a lot when you go to those college ranks and you're speaking to, I can help you get to that level. This guy who they're targeting right now, who they got confirmation from, is supposed to be a lottery pick at Brigham Young University.
Let's get into this.
Before Kevin Young even had a game, has cemented himself as a coach, he's already bringing this in. This is all from his background, right? And so that speaks a lot to his salesmanship and the recruiting standpoint, to being able to be in the same conversations in the same living room as all of these other guys, but be that convincing voice. And for all the things that you stated, I got all these guys that I can come up, whatever you're looking for, whatever you're working on, whatever you're wanting, I can make that happen. It's a great salesman right there. So, yeah, again, not a big BYU guy over here, but I think this guy's going to change the game down there at BYU. It's going to be awesome.
Already has, and here's the latest. BYU basketball in a Woj bomb. That's right. ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski reporting that Real Madrid's Egor Demin has committed to BYU. He's a 6'9" combo guard from Russia. He's been playing with Real Madrid in Europe, still has his college eligibility. And he's coming to BYU. He's not made the announcement personally, but according to a lot of reports, he picked BYU over Illinois, Arkansas, and other schools. He picked BYU over Illinois and Arkansas.
He
told John Calipari, no, I'm going to Provo.
Right. You don't get a Woj bomb without a lot of truth.
Right.
A lot of truth.
He was on the under-18 Real Madrid team, not the main team, the U18, which is still great.
Right.
Getting great experience there. Go to YouTube and search Egor Demin, EGORDEMIN. BYU fans, you're going to be like, what? This kid's going to play for us next year? Yes, he is. He is a projected 2025 NBA draft lottery pick by Draft Express. He's that good. When is the last time? Probably Sean Bradley back in 1989, 1990, where the BYU Cougars landed a commit from somebody who was that good, who was going to be an NBA lottery pick I don't know. We don't know what the future holds, how long he's going to be at BYU. Is he a one and done? I mean, I'm sure BYU fans will take it, right? Has BYU ever had a one and done, like a true one and done?
This could definitely be a guy, but
did you hear what I just said, BYU fans? You're getting a potential one and done. That's amazing.
The thing is, I don't think people realize the magnitude of that.
That changes your program.
It really
to get
does.
A player of this magnitude.
Because for me, it's the trickle effect after this. You get a guy like that, everybody else is like, I want to play with that guy.
Yeah.
And so you'll get that supporting cast to make that happen. That's why this is huge. You already have the coaching staff in place. Now you're adding more and more assets to make this happen. This is great. This is a huge pick, and this can set the foundation for you going forward. Do you want to be the next Egor? Do you want to be the next lottery pick? That's years after this that they can do, right? And so this is just huge. This is a huge, huge, huge get for BYU basketball.
Just for perception. Look, we don't know yet how good he's going to be,
right?
How this is all going to work. Just the perception of BYU landing a player of this caliber is going to have impact.
Yeah. What was Kyrie's college career?
One and done at Duke.
One and done at Duke, but he didn't even put up numbers. What, he played 11 games?
Didn't win a championship. But you don't know until they actually go out there and do it.
Exactly.
But man, you got a guy that can go out and do it.
But he can go out and do it. But as you said, even if he like this, just the marketability of this alone, this whole happening is huge for a program. That's what I'm saying. Like, he has a Kyrie career where he plays a couple games. He doesn't really actually do it. But you have all the attention on your school. And that you get that Jimmer fever out there at BYU.
Yeah.
Right? Like, this could be huge on many, many levels for BYU.
Just for today, this is huge. Because Kevin Young's already come in and he's raised the bar when it comes to recruiting. Raised the bar. They've offered the number one player in the country, AJ Demin, who's going to play prep basketball in the state of Utah this upcoming season. The number one player in the country is coming to Utah to play, and he's got an offer from BYU. They're not messing around.
No, they're not.
AJ Demin tweeted out today, 1 hour ago. He's already got an offer from Utah as well. And many other schools, but BYU's the latest. And he tweeted out today, I'm blessed to receive an offer from Brigham Young University. Go Cougars. So the number one player in the country is shouting out BYU. That's a game changer. Obviously, he's going to have Utah connections here, which is great. But when you have the number one recruit in the country coming to this state to play, and you've already established that relationship, and you're Kevin Young, and you can just all these things, it matters. I have no idea who's going to get AJ Demin. Good luck to all of you coaches out there to try to land the number one player in the country. But while it may still be difficult for BYU to land that, I mean, I think you have a much better chance to be in the conversation when you bring in a player like Egor, right? Because now you can start going to these recruits and saying, this is what we're doing. And pull out the phone and have Chris Paul talk to AJ Demin and say, this is why you need to play for Kevin Young.
Yeah.
This is a new day for BYU basketball, okay? And Kevin Young is already getting that started. It's been a while. Well, been a while. I don't know. I think BYU's enjoying some juice right now on the basketball side of things that they haven't experienced since, like you mentioned, Jimmer Fredette. Like, there's a real juice and excitement about it. This team, if Egor works out and plays as well as we think with all the other additions. And let me throw this one out there. Jackson Robinson hasn't closed the door on returning to BYU. We'll see what he does with the draft.
But that stuff right there was what would make him come back.
Yeah.
There's going to be some extra, like all of
You're going to have a lot of scouts watching NBA or BYU basketball games next year. All of that attention. If Egor Demin is on your roster.
Mm-hmm.
So all of a sudden, Kevin Young can go, hey, Jackson. A lot of these people are going to be watching Egor.
You want to leave?
Do you want to be a first-round pick with Egor next year?
Right.
That's a great pitch.
Right? I mean, but look at that, right? That's the same thing that's going on with Utah football right now. There's just so many stars going on right now. Utah's a place to be, and they're continuing to sign people. Right?
It's creating and building momentum, and then continuing the momentum.
Yes,
that's how you build long-lasting, sustained success. So that's going to be the challenge for Kevin Young at BYU. But man, what a start! This is unbelievable. Egor Demin, 6'9" guard from Russia, potential 2025 NBA lottery pick, is going to BYU. He said no to Arkansas. He said no to Illinois. He said yes to Provo. Let that sink in, BYU fans. You're getting one of the best players potentially in the 2025 NBA draft on this BYU roster next season. It's a new day for BYU men's basketball. All right, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, you got to hear this from Kendrick Perkins. I'll just leave it at that. You got to hear it. We've got it for you coming up here in a bit. But first, nominate the youth sports volunteer that you know for the Hercules Hero of the Week. Submit your nomination at kslsports.com/contest and listen every Thursday afternoon to JJ and Alex for the winner. Help us celebrate the efforts of those volunteers making an impact with the Hercules Hero of the Week, sponsored by Hercules Credit Union and Beehive Mills. We'll be right back with Kendrick Perkins on Rudy Gobert after this.
This is what you get. You're listening to JJ and Alex, presented by G2G Bars.
Don't touch that dial!
On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
The show rolls on as we approach the 5 o'clock hour. Jeremiah Jensen, Stevenson Sylvester in for Alex Geary today on JJ and Alex. Just still so blown away by that Egor Demin commit to BYU. Certainly a new day for the Cougars. That's a really good player. Go watch his YouTube highlights, BYU fans. You're going to be so excited. It's just, they're going to have a really, really good basketball team next year. They're going to be a factor in the Big 12 if all goes well. So Kevin Young is certainly the Kevin Young effect in full effect in Provo. We bounce back now to the NBA game. And this Western Conference Finals has not gone well for the Minnesota Timberwolves. And you can understand why, because if you've watched Luka and Kyrie, they're really, really hard to defend. And even for the Defensive Player of the Year, Rudy Gobert. We all remember what happened in Game 2. Luka hitting a game-winning three in his face. Hey, Rudy was willing to go out and guard him one-on-one and did the best he could. But narratives are a funny thing, and narratives certainly take over and take control, and Draymond Green has certainly fueled a narrative with his own hatred of Rudy Gobert. And another former NBA player who's now an analyst on ESPN has decided he's all in on that narrative as well. It's Kendrick Perkins. So Perk got on one of those talking head shows this morning. I don't know which one he was on. Doesn't really matter. But this is what he had to say about Rudy Gobert not being a good defender.
I have the biggest regret in my media career. And Molly, I'm retiring. Shannon, from voting for individual awards, regular season awards, because I have done a disservice in using my voting rights. Me voting this season for Rudy Gobert, is an embarrassment for me for Defensive Player of the Year. He's the first player that we see every single time in the postseason that becomes a defensive liability. Don't come give me these analytics. Don't come giving me these plus-minus stats, because that's the most overrated stat in the NBA. When I look at Rudy, he has tarnished the Defensive Player of the Year award. He has. He's not respected by his peers. We saw what happened to him in the Denver series. He couldn't even guard the person at his position. Karl Anthony Towns did a better job at that. What is he doing right now? When you look at this series right now, do you understand, do we realize that Rudy has 3 blocks in 3 games? He's averaging 1 block per game at 7-3. Unacceptable. to say he's a 4-time Defensive Player of the Year.
Okay. There's a lot to digest there.
Is that a hottish take?
That is flaming hot.
Is it?
That's a flaming hot bag of poop on someone's doorstep.
How many people out there actually take Kendrick Perkins' comments seriously?
Not many.
So how hottish is it?
I mean, it's hot enough he's saying it on national TV.
I mean,
while
everybody,
the team's down 3-0.
In Stephen A's words, everybody bloviates about everything.
Right.
You know, you got Skip Bayless talking about LeBron is not anything. You got Keyshawn Johnson said he's never seen LeBron dunk on anybody. Everybody says some wild stuff out there. And honestly, it's so hard. I guess we're going to jump right into it. But, like, you're talking about playing defense in the NBA where everybody's talked about how you can't respect the new game from the old game because of how the rules have changed into the advantage of these new age players, and you're expected to be great at defense. One, I mean, Rudy's ability to move at 7'2", 7'3", it needs to be respected. You don't normally have those 7'1" guys who can move up and down the court the way Rudy can. You know, these new guys are being more and more athletic, i.e. Victor Wembanyama. And, you know, how he's able to attack. They're just getting better and better with the bigger and bigger they are, right? The Bulls, you know, these 7-foot guys. And so Rudy has done it. This is his 4th time, but it's just like, who's playing defense on these type of offensive guys? Who's going to stop him?
Nobody.
If Jaden McDaniels was playing defense on him, they didn't get that switch. Again, I got another issue that I go on a tangent on how at the end of the quarters, end of games, it is so easy to switch defenders. I hate it. I literally throw stuff at the screen. But, like, if Jaden McDaniels was playing on Luka Doncic and Luka Doncic does that move and hits the bucket, what are you saying? You're not. Are you saying Jaden McDaniels is a terrible defender now? These offensive guys are incredible. It's oftentimes where, how many times did people say is like, we're not going to stop this guy. We just hope to slow him down. Rudy right now is under attack. Everybody's going at him. Mm-hmm. Everybody's going at him. And I think Rudy's issue is he's trying to prove so many people wrong. He's doing more or trying harder, and it's not working out. And so for me, it sucks for Rudy in the position. I'm not a huge Rudy Gobert like supporter fan. I see somebody under attack right now. It's just not right.
Well, it's not right because it's not true. So that's my issue with what Perk says. We're on a sports talk radio show right now. We have opinions. We have things we say, but like you can't go on and say, okay, don't bring the facts to me. I don't want to hear the facts, which he said. I don't want to hear the analytics. I don't want to hear the plus minus, all that kind of stuff. Here's a fact, and this blows up his whole narrative. Here's the Timberwolves defensive rating in the Western Conference Finals. When Rudy Gobert is on the floor, it's 110.6. When he's off the floor, it's 135.1. I don't think defense, and specifically Rudy Gobert, is the problem for the Timberwolves. Mm-hmm. Here's the problem. In Game 3, the Timberwolves were 9 of 30 from 3. The Mavericks, 14 of 28.
Jeez.
50% to 30% in a 9-point game, in a game that was closer than that for the most part until the fourth quarter when the Mavericks were able to pull away at the end, thanks to a 14-3 run. Otherwise, that ball game is bucket for bucket, back and forth the whole game, even with that discrepancy in three-point shooting. The Mavericks are winning this series 3-0 because they're shooting the ball better than the Minnesota Timberwolves. Period. Their offense is better than the Timberwolves' offense.
I mean, you play defense with good offense, right? You put the pressure, you make the other team one-dimensional. Same thing in football, right? We score enough points.
Mavericks, I mean, is it Rudy Gobert's fault that the Mavericks went 14 of 28
He's
from
not
three?
Shooting threes.
He's not defending the perimeter most of the time either. Like, it's just so there's always got to be a punching bag. And for whatever reason, everybody in the league, even some of these analysts, like to make Rudy Gobert the punching bag.
But Kendrick Perkins was the punching bag for everybody when he played. Everybody they tore Kendrick Perkins up throughout his league.
Yeah.
Like, when was Kendrick Perkins a dominant defensive guy? And in Boston, when he had KG on his side, backing him up? If Kendrick Perkins was put in the situations of Rudy Gobert, he would not last at all. So the fact that you could come out and say something like that, I think you got to check yourself. Draymond Green saying all the same stuff. I'm just like, yo, it is not easy to play defense against these guys. And that was the biggest thing is like, I'm sorry I keep bringing up LeBron. I'm a LeBron fan. That's what happens. But, like, people were like, oh, we shut down LeBron in the finals, yada, yada. He averaged 35. You didn't shut him down. He had 40 on you tonight. You can't stop him, but you got to slow him down just enough in the right parts. And you got to play complementary basketball by scoring points on the other end to keep the pressure on him. That's what Dallas is doing. They're scoring points to keep the pressure on Minnesota, and Minnesota's not scoring on the other end, so now it's lackluster, and you get exposed. That's what happens. And it sucks that they're sitting over here blaming Rudy for all of that stuff. As I said, I'm not a huge Rudy fan, but when somebody's getting attacked like that, especially from people who's played the game, it's like, come on, man. There's something else going on why they don't like him.
Yeah.
Because it's not the game of basketball. You take Jokic last series, right? Tearing Rudy up. Who hasn't he torn up?
He's the MVP.
But when he's hitting shots with the Rainmaker, Philip Seymour Hoffman and Long Came Polly, Rain Dance. That's how Jokic is shooting, and he's scoring from half-court logos. He's doing stuff like that to where it's like, come on, man. And he's doing it on the best defenders. You can't say that's Rudy's fault, can't guard him. Jokic is taking 3 foot, switching his pivot foot and still scoring, and that's Rudy's fault because the guy's traveling? I'll go on a tangent with all that stuff, but yeah, I think Rudy bashing is unfair.
And I think we just spelled it out with facts. I didn't say anything other than what the real truth is here. That's a 25-point difference on and off the floor with Rudy Gobert on and off.
25 points is huge.
His defense is the only thing that was keeping them in the series. You can make that argument just as well as you could make it the other way. The Timberwolves just aren't making shots. That's basketball. It's a make-or-miss league, and the Timberwolves are missing. That's why they're down 3-0. We got to take a break. When we come back, the coach, Tim Lacombe, joins us. I'd love to get his take on this. Is Rudy Gobert being treated unfairly? Also, he'll react to the Celtics sweep of the Pacers, what we can expect tonight between the T-Wolves and Mavs. And I also want to get his reaction to BYU landing this recruit, Egor Demin, and what it means for BYU hoops landing a potential 2025 lottery pick. That and more coming up next. JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.